Hello all! So here I was working on something big in the background, and looking for something smaller to post for you folks in the meantime. And sure enough, the unkillable low-quality drudge that is Evangelion discourse reared its ugly head up once more. And like a creeping ancient thing disturbed from my tomb, I looked out and beheld. Oh, it's the friggin' Sock Sensei guy again. Really? Doesn't that guy do boring, elongated summaries of show plots? You know, for people who are too lazy to watch the original thing, but also, you know, with enough fear of missing out to sit through at least an hour-long video essay. You know, like that other hack, Retcon 404. Oh, he did one on the subject that is like, I don't know, the fucking Capcom weak spot for mecha fans. Ava and its supposed copycats. Ugh. Okay, fine. It's the thing that got me started on YouTube in the first place. That's right, the love of the genre. Oh wait, no. No, it's being sick and tired of how stupid the discourse devolves into on my favorite thing. So, my hand has been forced. Oh my god. Is it finally time? Is Argon gonna tear apart Sock Sensei's video? Or maybe Argon is gonna do a 3-hour video on Ava of his own, of at least comparable quality to the Steven one. Nope. Luckily for all the low attention span Zoomlennial hummingbirds out there, I am going to do the opposite. That's right, for me, who has now become enslaved to probably way too long, high effort videos, an entire regular series of 15-ish minute pseudo reviews on all the supposed copycats who ripped off Evangelion. Today alone, I will not just do that, but the following to get started. 1. Tell you how all human art works and how Ava ties in. 2. Tell you what Ava did so well in 5 easy points. 3. Tell you why people still freaking argue over it, and how both sides are ultimately some form of idiot. But what will I not do? Blankly stare at a camera showing off some kind of bookshelf and/or nerd items to create easy B-roll footage. Or weekly summarize a story for easy views, even though every single grade school teacher in the Northern Hemisphere told you not to write a summary as your book report. So let's begin. And remember again, you forced me to do this. This is a written threat. So let's get the first thing out of the way, as frankly, it's pretty simple. How does human art work, and why do humans argue about it so goddamn much? Okay, lights! Here it is. As I humbly developed myself, possibly after reading a certain very long, borderline pornographic science fiction Starship Troopers visual novel, the theory of how all human art and culture now broadly works in our modern world. Oh, you're unimpressed? You don't get it. Why are we looking at a sea urchin? Okay, here, let me explain. This is all art. All art that exists in reality in one singular form. It should be also kind of shifting and diffusing and kind of gooping up and down, bits merging and unmerging, but that would make the render time on this video horrible. So just keep that in mind, that this is more of like a snapshot of art in a time and moment and art and culture kind of thing, you know, like a photograph. See these spines? These are called niche interests. See how they narrow the further out you go? The more you cater to a specific taste, the fewer weirdos will like it. But the curve is hyperbolic, so the fanaticism amongst diehards will also grow. See this core? Right here, where the urchin's mouth and digestive cavity would be, this is called the mainstream. It's a big bloated area with the highest market share and widest appeal. Unfortunately, though, by existing so close to dead center, anything which stays here or starts to move here dissolves from the digestive juices of mainstream human consumption. Broadly speaking, the flow of art is mostly one way. Entropy dictates all art gravitates towards the core of the culture urchin. That being said, not all art makes it to the core. Some stuff is always just a bit too weird, or Japanese, but Much like a hungry urchin, the human mind wants to consume a constant supply of new art food to eat up. And much like a diet, it gets bored eating the same food over and over and over again. Amazing, novel ideas like, a fun superhero action film called Iron Man can, with enough time, dissolve into grey slop, which, while many watch it, few absolutely adore it. Inversely, weirdo stuff with particular flavor, like some kind of grim, super serious neo-western called No Country for Old Men, will always struggle to reach the core of mainstream, because lots of people find it boring or depressing. And this isn't to say that things in the mainstream are necessarily bad all of their own self, it's more just that by existing there over a prolonged period, people just get sick of them. Some stuff will also eternally float at a point, hovering somewhere between niche and mainstream. The only way for things to truly move outwards is basically for raw human forgetfulness and time. People dying, the thing not being relevant anymore, being left behind. However, new art, like new cells, is constantly being created all the way from the center outwards, and it is always moving inwards as more people inevitably consume it. But the novelty of old art, like say, obscure Soviet cartoons never seen in the West, can dredge them back up from niche existence or obsolescence, back into topical relevance, pulling them from the spines of nicheness into the core. Some works will succeed specifically by tying together multiple spines of niche interests and novel coolness into a new thing. Like, say, a Wuxia-inspired cyberpunk sci-fi action movie, but with also a serious dark setting and captivating, sort of shallow philosophy, which in turn sets a new mainstream standard with its action sequences. Some works will jump from niche to spine to niche spine. One massive nerdy 100-plus episode space opera, which appeals to SF dorks in Japan, can now become the love letter to Western dorks. Or, another group of people, it can become a mom-approved borderline yaoi queer fanfiction. Did it move inwards? A bit. But it's also possible for works to orbit from niche group to niche group, through reinterpretation or just dynamic appeal. Maybe you love Rocky Horror Picture Show for the music, or maybe the actors, or maybe for something about men dressing up as women. Things can kind of work in many different ways. So, there you go. That's how human art and culture work in a little over a single page. Now here I wish, I could still smoke, so I could dramatically put down my cigarette and say, it's time to get serious. Because where does Eva fit in? And why do people love it and also argue about it to death? No, not the best girl thing. We're not going to do that today. Simple. Let's first apply Eva to our new, for you, not me, model. What did it ultimately do? Why did it work? Number 1. Big cool robots fighting Ultraman monsters. Big cool robots are cool. They are inherently cool, and by avoiding, on purpose, Gundam's military realism angle, you avoid most counter-arguments or over-nerdification about ground pressure and all that boring stuff. Number 2. Throw in some down-to-earth characters. Misato and Kaji, Itsuko and Gendo having serious adult drama, right out of a Daitokai big city professional J-drama. Splice that with some extremely trope-laden high school anime events for your weird introvert protag and his equally tropey love interest / supporting characters. Of Asuka and Rei, sprinkle on that Miltaku kid and the one with the Adidas fit, to appeal to younger and older viewers and get to use both adult and anime writing conventions. This will do really well if, Japan is also undergoing a bad financial kind of crisis, so you're just kind of generating rough family environments that then generate rough introvert kids. Number 3, references. Do you remember Thunderbirds? Do you remember Ultraman? Do you remember 70s Western live-action dark SF shows with a serious tone? What about the Andromeda Strain? What about Godzilla? Do you remember Ultraman? Number 4, wrap that all up in referential, once again, Ultraman, UFO, the works, layer of obscure Christian mythology. Psychological theories, Kabbalic mysticism, and 70s SF conspiratorial government and religious hijinks. Doing this makes the show seem mysterious and complex, and also lets you freaking remember Ultraman. Again. Number 5, Pen Pen. No, seriously, brand merchandising makes you money, and the Penguin sells it. Gotta have a mascot. And there you go. That's it. Eva in 4 and a bit paragraphs. You watch an episode, see Shinji be sad, Rei and Asuka be tropey, and also sad but differently. Misato be flirty. The big robot fights an Ultraman kaiju. They say something like Bethlehem Initiative, and Gendo sits in a weird room. Also, the music is really, really good. Argon, you are being too reductive. No, I'm really not. How can I say that so confidently? Because it's literally everything you see in the opening flashed at you super rapidly. Also, with good music. Sad main character, cool robot, half-naked women, weird images, mysterious context, you know. With this out of the way, it's easy to see why Eva was a big deal. It took a bunch of different niche appeals, like older toku and anime trends, combined them with then popular anime setups, wrapped it in some seemingly complex mythology and a killer soundtrack. 18 years into the mecha era of Gundam, when mecha conventions were getting pretty stiff, when anime was getting also very stiff, when the core of the Urchin was wearing thin those things, Eva took these elements and slapped them together. And when you know it, it produced a hit. Now, were they alone? No, The Matrix wasn't the first cyberpunk movie. Giant Robo was doing with Yokoyama and Nostalgia what Eva would do later with Ultraman, but also Yokoyama. What, did you think it was a coincidence that, the main evil Eva Shinji fights is black? Like Black Ox from Tetsujin? But Argon, what about the Sephiroth? What about the Central Dogma? The toilet paper scrolls of the Dead Sea? Ugh, God, the fact people have gotten degrees in this is so fucking stupid. Listen, once again, I will tell you how this works, how Anno and Tsurumaki wrote Eva, and why you need 0 degrees to get it. Our main character Shinji enters a creepy room. There are weird equations and scientician notes. He says nervously, "What is this place?" Ritsuko says, "Malakai's corruption." The light turns on and reveals a humongous biomechanical pelvis. Pause screen. The new viewer goes, "I don't know what this means, but this room is creepy." That's this side of the bell curve here. Then you have the fan who attended a 6-part, 3-hour Christian symbological seminar, and he says, "Ah, yes, the wrath of God from Malachi 2:3, to spread dung on your faces, as an insult to the corrupt priests, and as some deep illusion of how Caeli defied God, and became corrupt in creating the Evas." Then on the other side, you have me, and most not insane people, who see the scene and go, Ritsuko is saying Caeli was doing bad things, and that saying that, in a way, made the room look creepy. The big robot pelvis is to make the room look creepy, the point being that Shinji sees a creepy room. That's it. All the symbology of Eva is stylistic. The plot not only isn't labyrinthine, it's entirely people missing the Kabbalistic forest for the Ultraman trees. Why does Eva do this then? Because it enhances the emotional atmosphere of the scene, the thing you should feel innately in the scene, and also because Ultraman did it. Having Ritsuko walk into the room and go, "Caeli did bad things, Shinji be creepy," is too direct. There's no subtext. There's not even really atmosphere. So why does this confuse and floor people so much? Because, as Anno put it himself, anime is kind of a childish medium. Characters act and emote profusely. They often tell you exactly what they feel and think, and it might take like 4 episodes of that, in Dragon Ball or Bleach, just to get, everybody's opinion on what this new muscle guy is going to do. But is this universally true? No, there are obscuring anime works with lots of nuance or interpretation. Sunny Boy was one such example from recent years. So what was Eva's mistake that caused this then, this over-intellectualism? Simple. It got popular. All those other elements I mentioned, the cool robots, the tropey characters, the repeatable flawed relationships, caused it to pop off. But what was underneath that surface level appeal? A load of sad, relatable characters with bad personal skills, like anime fans, and symbolic Christian mysticism. Then, utterly like David Lynch's Twin Peaks exposing mainstream US soap opera audiences to his weird dreamlike storytelling, you have a new audience of people unaccustomed to this kind of vibesy, obtuse style. And then you get them to go, unsurprisingly, to proceed to overinterpret and insist the work is way more complicated than it is. Just identically like The Matrix. Or to use my model, the art passed up the Urchin and towards the core, in the process exposing audiences to a novel form of storytelling. You could sum it up on a t-shirt with, "I came for the cool robots and fan service, but I stayed for Da'at and the depression." So now to wrap it up, let's put it all together and I will show you how this fucking recipe for a disaster came to be. A perfect storm for generating 30 goddamn years of arguments. In Art-Urchin, Eva did all that stuff and got popular, in the process of exposing itself more and more to audiences further and further removed from its original niche appeal of its disparate parts. This in turn created the conditions for a conflict I will now scientifically term, me, Archambault, the Battle of the Snoots and the Snogs. This battle has happened many times, in many different genres, in many different mediums. It happens whenever these two groups come into conflict. It happened with Halo Combat Evolve. It happened with Buffy, the TV show. It happened with Destiny's Child, and it's likely happening all over the world right now. The first group, the Snoots, are the outsiders. They don't consume whatever the Thing's larger genre is. They probably started experiencing the larger genre with just The Thing as their first entry. They may never go on to experience the rest of the genre. The phrase the Snoots then use, unsurprisingly and most likely, is, unlike other X, Y is actually about Z. Eva is actually about the characters. Eva isn't a mecha series. Eva isn't even really an anime in the traditional sense. Actually, Hideaki Anno hates otaku, and Eva is his condemnation on their incestuous media habits. The second group, the Snogs, is the interior group. They consume a lot of the Thing's larger genre, and they are now pissed the Thing is getting, quote, all the credit. Their phrase of likely choice is, "Oh yeah, why? Well actually before Z, that was done way before in X and XX and Zerd, and better actually." The Snogs will remind you before Eva there was Gundam, and Shinji is just Amuro, and have you heard of Ideon? It's even darker. Did you know that? So, Argon. As the Snoots move from the core outwards and the Snogs push from the niche inwards into conflict, which group do you support? Who is right? Are you serious? Neither, obviously. They are both wrong. Duh. Haven't you guys learned anything? Yeah, the Snoots are clearly underexposed or just don't find the same things appealing. If you love Toronto's best Tex-Mex dive bar featured in Scott Pilgrim, Sneaky D's, does that mean you will love all Mexican cuisine? No. Maybe you only like that one very specific mix. So parading around as if that singular thing formed fully from the head of Zeus as a perfect work, or frankly embarrassingly downplaying the obvious DNA oozing from Eva's seams, is ridiculous. When Anno has to say Eva is a mecha show, when the creator has to insist on the creation, you guys are being nuts. Yes, they use the 14-year-old girls for fan service. It sucks, but it's an anime. Made by otaku. Yes, Kaoru reflected your high school gay phase, or Asuka has literally me guys image issues. Oh man, I hate my dad, just like Shinji hates Gendo. Too bad, that's also in there with the rainbow robots. You can't really separate it. And as for the Snogs, they are also insufferable in how much they over-downplay everything. Yeah, Eva is made of references. Yeah, it's writing, and it's Ideon, and even ironically, some Gundam, Gunbuster, and so on. But it wouldn't have been so successful if it was just doing that all over again. Hard-Boiled is amazing, and you can watch it, and it's pretty great. But there's a reason The Matrix got pretty big. Eva did do something new, even if that newness was just in resurrecting cool stuff which previously had been popular, but had been out of style for 20 or 30 years. Constantly expecting people to watch 20 previous works to experience Eva properly is insane. People just want to watch what they want to watch. Hopefully, maybe, they maybe try some other stuff. Maybe, you're the cool, chill genre fan. You go, hey, did you like X? Give Y a chance. You might like it. And if they don't, they don't. People's tastes are relative. I love the robot, you love the robot, but maybe they just like Misato being a hot mess, who happens to command a unit of teenagers in robots. I, personally, only like Eva for the Gillette merch, but, what can you do? So there you go. As a mostly sane adult who built his life out of mecha anime, I feel more forced than anyone to put my foot down on this. I point to the heavens and cry, Demolition D, I will pick up the crown. Now you know how art works, how Eva works, and why people argued about it so much. And now I can freely ramble about 7 or 8 or 9-ish series who ripped it off and what that even means. And also, remember, you made me do this.